Okay, so this time we're going to go ahead and take a look at building a new, more stylized topic. What we've had before is a simple character model, kind of going through, fixing the ears, the nose, mouth, eyes, all of that kind of thing. But what we're going to do next is actually go for more of a specific topic than just ourselves. Well, first I'm going to hit W to get my wireframes, and I'm going to add a couple more divisions to this, and I'm going to go up to about a level 4, just to kind of start with. Well, my topic this time is going to be a zombie. Well, zombies kind of have, one of multiple forms that are pretty common to kind of go with. Well, in this case, I'm going to go for more of the shrunken, deformed, malnourished look. Well, this makes me do a couple things. Well, first, I need to go ahead and use my grab tool with a bit of a bigger brush, and I just kind of need to form fit this a little bit better for that initial bone structure. So I can go through, move the ears, just kind of push them in a little bit, just kind of narrow those gaps. I can have the mouth be a little bit wider than this, and then I can kind of pull upwards along this jawline. And I'm going to go through and fix a lot of this anyway. And I got a lot I'm going to be doing with it. But by using grab and kind of just form-fitting this around, it's going to be a lot easier to see that emaciated, shrunken look. And what I'm going to do is kind of just go off of the concept of where the skull is, and just kind of pull things around those edges. So giving it that much stronger jawline, but you'll even notice as I'm doing more and more of this real basic pushing in here, it even's giving us some stretching skin, which in my case is exactly what I want. From there, I can come through and pull in a little bit of the jawline, kind of come to the lips area, pull them in a bit, because about right here is where we have another bone, just kind of straight up from the corner of the mouth and over just a bit. And I'm going to actually go to a little bit smaller, hit the wrong button, go to a bit smaller brush, and with grab, kind of just pull this out just a little bit further. And all I'm really doing is anywhere in the skeleton that there isn't a bone, or at least cartilage, because I can do a lot of it with the cartilage too for like the nose. Still going to change it a little bit, but it lets me kind of just grab these portions of where the skin could be more flabby and really just assist through the entire process by making it more bone-like. So anywhere that's not just almost a pure bone, we can kind of pull out just a bit. Anywhere that it'd be more just kind of flabby skin, so the cheeks, and other areas, anywhere that's kind of like around the neck, is going to, what we really want to do is kind of make it suction inwards to just kind of follow the edge of this skull. So once we have it kind of like this, we can go through and add some more details. Obviously you're free to kind of go through and figure out what it is you want to do with yours and where things should be. But I'm going to use just a basic sculpt brush. I'm going to do a quick test brush. It's pretty good. I'm going to kind of come to these cheek areas, hold control, and just lightly push into those areas. And the more sunken in I make it, is going to make the more deteriorated zombie look. Similarly, just to balance it so I don't have too much of one or the other, I can come back with the basic sculpt and just increase those bone structures a little bit also. But I'll do the same thing kind of up towards the eyebrows. Now, most of the skull is going to be kind of flat and theoretically more so smooth, but there's a few other effects we can kind of put onto that. So the overall first part of our zombie here is going to look roughly like this, just as the initial setup. And this initial setup is all we really need for now anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and pause it just for a moment and go grab a picture. Okay, so I'm back, and what I'm going to do is go ahead and bring this over, and I got this real simple generic zombie appearance on here. But this is really all we kind of need to work with for the most part, because it gives us most of the kind of details we need. These darker portions, like through here, are some of the sunken in areas. We can see that there's not much for eyelids, and the eyes are still kind of bulgy. Ears, pretty well intact when you look at them, but because it is zombie, we do get a little bit more freedom to be more free-handed with how we want them to actually look. We got some quote-unquote battle wounds up here with some scars. We got some cuts and slits into the mouth and lips. We can see into the gums, and we can see the teeth. And those are going to be all the things that we are going to kind of work through to try to create this Zimbambo. So I'm going to take this away, and let's go ahead and see what we can do with some of those areas. Well, now that I have most of this actually pretty well on here, I mean, I can go through and I'm going to pull these eyebrows in just a bit, which also kind of flattens them just from the in and out, but that's okay. Next up, I'm going to work through here with the mouth. Yeah, we'll do that next. So I'm going to zoom in a bit. Small brush, small strength, and I'm going to switch over to wax. I'm going to do this just a bit, and I'm going to kind of do just the lips open, like the mouth open with the lips apart, just so I can kind of get that more zombie effect going. So I'm going to come a little bit closer to the nose, and I'm just going to kind of add a little bit on here, just to kind of form up these lips. So I'm going to start with the top one, and I just want to bring it out a little bit with a bunch of little clicks again and again. Then come to the bottom, and typically the bottom lips are thicker than the top lip. Not always, but commonly. So I'll make this a little bit bigger as I go through it. But I'll just keep adding and adding with wax until I'm satisfied with about how far the lips are out. Now, because it is a zombie, these lips are going to be much more... they're going to be much more deteriorated. So there's a lot more I can do with this. And I'm going to switch to sculpt and kind of, nope, too much. Smaller strength, bigger brush, and I'm just kind of puff all of it out just by going over it just to thicken them up a little bit. They'll keep their shape and design pretty well. It deforms it a bit, but you know what? It's a zombie. Who cares? Then small brush, and I'll put in, you know, just a little bit of the detail in there. Just to push it in a bit, smooth it out. Okay. Now, with a little bit bigger brush, I'm going to come through and just go through this area a few times without clicking until I get everything roughly deformed the same. Once I do, I will then let go and do it again. Because every time I let go, it's going to push it in pretty well evenly and keep this shape the entire time. So just one full click, holding Control as I do it, and just add more and more in here. And I'll fix kind of the corners of the mouth here in a bit, but yeah. So from here, we theoretically are going to run into the gums. So I need to once again kind of just leave some space and push in some more. Now, depending on just how much I really want to do and how much detail, this is going to give me quite a bit to work with. So I have the lips here, which again, I can continue to bulge out as much as I want, top and bottom. I'm going to take Sculpt and take one of these maps down here under Stamps, just so I can kind of come in here and that's good. Bigger strength. And I'm just going to kind of cut it here into the middle, just to kind of give, that's a little bit too much. I'm going to go for about a 50. Just to kind of come in here and kind of cut to separate out these edges. Actually, you know what, let's go with this one. I'm going to undo a bit, go with this map, and use this one to cut. That'll be a little bit better for us. And I'll let this kind of trail off over here. I'll smooth it out a bit, but just allow kind of that separation for the lips to kind of show up there. And similarly, because I'm just clicking and dragging to cut it, I can come over here, hold Control. It's a little bit too much strength still, so let me pull it back for this. And kind of come on these edges just to kind of firm up where the edges of these lips are. And you don't have to do all of this, but this is how I'm going to go about building mine. So I'm done with my stamp. I'll turn it off. Too much. Undo. Less strength. And for the moment, that'll be fine. There's a lot of work that I'd go into and keep doing with this, but for now, I think it'll be fine. So, this section through here, we essentially have the gums that we can fill up with teeth. The more open we make this mouth, which I can completely go in with grab a big brush and kind of just go through to open this mouth more and more if I really wanted to. But what it really comes down to is there's going to be this tiny little ledge here that we're going to make into the gums, and everything behind that is going to have to be deformed. So I'll go back to Sculpt, Stronger, and I'm going to push this in just so it kind of goes for the rest of the mouth and throat. And the further you push it back, the more difficult it's going to be to kind of, see and work with it. But if we even zoom into the head, we can see more or less where we have it, how far back it goes. So, overall, we can work with it like that, but I'm going to add a new subdivision to smooth it out and give me more to work with. Okay, now other things we got down here, I can keep working with these different tools. I lost a little bit of my gums on the bottom, so I can go to a small strength, smaller brush, and I can kind of just build them up, and I'm going to kind of pull them back towards the throat. Just so I can kind of fill the gums through the entire thing. And I'll do the same up here. And just pull it back as best I can and as far as I can go. If we need to, add a new subdivision, and it'll help smooth it out just a bit, and it'll be easier each time we do that if we really need to. And remember, we're still just kind of putting these initial details on everything. We are not at the point that we're adding, actual texture to the skin, or I guess in the zombie's case, potentially lack thereof, quite yet. So at the moment, we really just are filling in some of these gaps. There's not too much we have to do at this point, but we can kind of keep coming in to add more and more detail as we need it. And we are going to corrupt the zombie a lot more. But at the moment, we just kind of need some of these little things smoothed out that we can come back to later on. Okay. So this will be the zombie. And yeah, it's a little weird. Things are flowing a little bit strange, but you know what? It's a zombie. We can make it look as creepy and dementia-filled, I don't know, words. But in these gums, we're going to come back and add some new objects for teeth, but I'll be good for that. So as I move on, I can come to the ear, and similar to what we did before with the actual heads, I can either come in, start to just kind of paint inward with a light brush, just to kind of fill the shape of this ear. And smooth some things together. Now, you might want to use wax for this. I'm just using a basic sculpt. But it's really just about building up these shapes in these areas, just to kind of get something that fits the design that we're going for. Now, as we saw on one of the previous ones, the ear shape is fairly helical, and it kind of just arcs and spirals if you get a good look at it from the side. Not always, but it is one of those kind of common attributes. And similar to what I did for the mouth, I'll go ahead and just kind of push it in there for the ear. I know it's not exactly right, but zombie, maybe the skin's slipping off. And of course I can just kind of grab and maneuver this thing around as I need it to be anyway. Zombie, good enough. Okay. Other things like the nose, well, depending on how decayed things are, we might not even have a nose to really work with. And if we wanted to do something more like that, we can go in here, and now that we have the overall design for it, for where that nose was, we can come in with Sculpt, push inward, and of course we're going to have some issues that we'll have to work through, so I'm actually going to go down to a bit of a lower level. Smooth out this nose here. Return to a higher level. Turn off wireframe. And you can even start to see, not that, we can even see right through here where some of this nasal cavity would kind of be in here at. So once again, similar to what I did with the mouth and the ear canal, I'm going to do the same with this nasal cavity. So the rest of the nose can kind of just fall off in more ways than one, given that it's a zombie. But by going through there and just painting into that nasal cavity, similar to how we did for the cheeks over here, we can create those other kind of effects for the character. And once again, with something like grab, if it's a little bit too big, too far over, we can grab it and just kind of move it into place. And here on wireframe, you can see me, not wireframe, with wireframe turned on, you can see me kind of smoothing out where that nose was. Just down there, so it kind of falls away. Because then, when I return up to a higher level, it keeps most of those changes that I had, but it will smooth out all the transitions. Alright, so we're starting to get something pretty zombie-like now. We're a little over 20 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and stop, and we will take a look at what to do in the next video.